In the charred remnants of an Australian eucalyptus forest, where the once lush canopy had been reduced to blackened skeletons, a faint cry pierced the smoky air. A young koala, singed and terrified, clung to the remains of a smoldering tree. Alone, dehydrated and trembling from pain, he had survived the inferno that had swept through his home, but only just. A volunteer wildlife rescue group, alerted by locals who had spotted movement among the scorched undergrowth, arrived with urgency. Among them was Sarah Mitchell, a wildlife carer with over a decade of experience. When we found him, he was barely conscious, she recalled. His paws were burnt, his fur was singed, and his eyes, they were filled with confusion and fear. The team named him Ash, a somber tribute to the landscape that had nearly claimed his life. Ash was wrapped in a soft towel, gently lifted into a carrier, and rushed to a nearby wildlife clinic. The journey to recovery began immediately. Vets cleaned his burns, administered fluids, and dressed his wounds. He was placed in a temperature-controlled room and monitored around the clock. In the days that followed, Ash's condition remained uncertain. Infection was a constant threat, and he refused to eat. Volunteers took turns sitting by his side, offering eucalyptus leaves, whispering gentle reassurances, and even singing softly to him. He needed to feel safe, said Sarah. He'd lost everything: his family, his home, his sense of trust. But slowly, Ash responded. He began nibbling on leaves, blinking more alertly, and even let out a soft grunt when a familiar carer entered the room. Weeks passed. His fur began to regrow, and the wounds on his paws healed under careful treatment. He was moved to an outdoor enclosure where he could climb and strengthen his muscles. What was once a helpless, frightened creature had become a playful young koala, fond of clambering to the highest branches and snoozing under the morning sun. He had grown attached to his carers, often reaching out with his paws to cling affectionately to their arms. 3 months after his rescue, the team made a decision. The forest was beginning to recover, and so was Ash. On a clear morning, under the gaze of the same volunteers who had saved him, Ash was gently released into a protected area of the regrown bushland. He hesitated only a moment before bounding toward the nearest eucalyptus, clambering up with ease. At the top, he paused, looked back, and then settled into the branches as if he had never left. For the rescuers, it was a moment of triumph and quiet sorrow. Letting him go was the hardest part, Sarah admitted, wiping away tears. But this is what we fight for them to live wild and free again. Ash's story is one of resilience, a symbol of what can be saved when compassion meets action, even amid nature's darkest trials.